A Course in Miracles teaches that whatever isn't love is fear. Even those states of mind or emotional ways of being that we don't necessarily always recognize as such, fear-based, like hatred and anger, attack, violence. Those states of mind that are obviously not loving, kind, compassionate, are also expressions of fear. When we recognize that behind the expression of hatred, anger, attack, violence is actually fear, we respond differently. We respond differently. I like to talk in metaphors. When a child is fearful because he believes that there are monsters or a big crocodile under his bed, it makes no sense to punish this child for his ridiculous thoughts. Right? A fearful child needs understanding, compassion, and kindness, and needs to be reassured that that which the child perceives as frightening actually doesn't exist. Punishing the child for being fearful is entirely counterproductive. Now, it is fairly easy to recognize a child that is fearful. Usually the child just will tell you, I am fearful, I am afraid of this monster under my bed. It's pretty straightforward, and therefore a compassionate response is entirely likely. But what happens if we don't recognize the fear for what it is? Fear. Then our response is far likely to be one of judgment, condemnation, counterattack, making the already fear-based perception of the situation only worse. I like to work with animals to make these things visible. It is hard to perceive another human being that comes at you violently, in whatever form the violence takes, as fearful and therefore deserving of a understanding, compassionate, and kind response. It is far easier to see this with animals because animals don't lie. And I filmed several little scenes involving animals that make this very visible. One little scene that I don't think I have edited yet, but I'll describe you the scene anyway. Me and my children heard a distressing call from what appeared to be a cat. But it was echoing over the farm and we didn't really realize where it was coming from until my children discovered that there was a stray cat, a tomcat, stuck at the base of the silo with no way of escaping. Even if this cat was some sort of Indiana Jones, he wouldn't have been able to make it out of there on his own. He would have starved to death or starved from thirst or whatever. So my children decide on a rescue mission. And they indeed descended into the silo with a ladder to retrieve this cat. And I filmed the whole thing. This cat was very aggressive. It was hissing, it was trying to get away, and it was attacking. But my children didn't go into blame and counterattack. They didn't make this cat bad and wrong and deserving of punishment. They realized that whatever this cat was doing was coming from a fearful place. And they truly risked getting hurt and scratched all over, and they probably did, but they rescued this cat. They managed to get a hold of it and stuff it in a cat carrier, and they brought it out of the silo and released it. And several months later, we saw evidence of his presence on the farm in a batch of kittens that, strangely enough, looked like him. Does the cat need to be punished for scratching my children? Or can my children forgive him because they realized, they understood with compassion and kindness that this cat was operating from a place of fear and therefore deserves nothing but understanding, compassion, and kindness, which makes even the word forgiveness kind of redundant, because once you realize there is nothing to forgive, this cat just was clawing because it was afraid. Therefore, we cannot hold anything against this cat, and we will just release it and not imprison and punish it for its grievous crime of scratching my children as they were rescuing him. Forgiveness is only needed when a trespass or a crime has been determined. If there is no trespass and there is no crime. Another example that shows that even aggression and attack is fear-based was when I filmed a snake, and I know for sure that that video is already on YouTube, so I will link it to this video likely as an end screen so that you can see for yourself, and I will post it here as a link so that you can look it up right now if you want to. I noticed a snake and filmed it because I was always carrying my camera. I had my GoPro on a stick so I could get fairly close in without risking getting hurt myself. And I did. And I basically scared the crap out of this snake. And I knew I was doing this. I knew I was encroaching into his space with a, I guess it could easily look like a bigger snake with some sort of rectangular head and then a skinny body, which was my stick. I have no idea what the perception of my GoPro on a stick with me behind it was, but by the response that this snake showed me, I could tell it was fearful, and out of the fear came the fight. Because fear shows up as flight, freeze, or fight. And this snake definitely chose to fight and was actively attacking the camera. Was this snake vicious, malicious, and to be punished? No, it was fearful and trying to defend itself. Coming from a fearful perception of, if I don't attack this thing first, it will attack me. It was coming literally from the reptilian brain. A snake brain that cannot reason its way through this situation, going, oh yeah, that's anime with her GoPro and she films absolutely everything. There's nothing to fear. No, that's not how a snake thinks. Something is coming at him and it must be out to get him. That is how the reptilian brain responds to everything. So was this snake a malicious, damn rotten snake to be punished? No, of course not. This was merely a fear response showing up as attack. Showing up as a do it to them before they do it to you, coming from the unquestioned assumption that they will invariably do it to you, whatever it is. Take advantage of you, eat you, kill you, do something terrible to you. So you better do something terrible to the other first and get the benefit of the first strike. Another very vivid example that makes this concept so much more understandable is horsemanship. We respond in horsemanship, in training our horses, in riding our horses, very differently to our horse according to the story we tell ourselves about what this horse is up to. If we see our horse as stubborn, lazy, defiant, unwilling, trying to get away with shit, then we will respond to this horse very differently when we are not getting the behavior that we are looking for. Whereas if we shift that perception just a little bit and we perceive our horse as maybe being anxious, uncertain, rather than defiant and trying to get away with shit. It is the difference between saying my horse is unwilling to do this for me, stand still at the mounting block, let me tack up, let me mount, ride, whatever. My horse is unwilling versus my horse is unable right now to respond adequately to my request. My horse is unable because either my horse doesn't understand, which gives rise to anxiety, or what is being asked itself gives rise to anxiety. And therefore, my horse is unable. I think that's a different video though. I'll get back to this.